Hey!
Hi.
Oh, we're getting right into a video. Check it out, boys. What is this one called, PK?
Jesus Christ in Richmond Park.
And we figured out it's Richmond in London.
Yes.
Oh, that explains everything.
Where else would he be?
Jeez.
This dude's dog is chasing all of those deer.
Oh, I've seen this. Yeah, okay.
He can't get his fucking dog back.
Oh, you're just hurting them.
Who is filming this? Do you think they have any relation to the dude?
I don't know, man.
Or was
This deer is
No, that's what I thought at first, but I think his dog's name is Fenton.
Fenton. Wow.
like after fentanyl?
Oh.
This video's,
about to
this video's
kill all
7
those
years
deer.
old.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How's
Hey.
it going?
Yeah, welcome to episode 24 of the APE Audio Podcast. We're here chilling out with Theoretically Nameless Band.
What's up, guys?
Hello, everyone.
Yo.
Would you guys like to introduce yourselves?
We'll start on
I'm Big Boy Nick over here. I play the drums.
Sweet.
My name's Nathan. I play guitar.
Hi, Nathan.
I'm Cody. I play tenor sax and deal with all the bullshit that nobody else wants to deal with when it comes to being in a band.
Bullshit like what?
Oh, just like the management side of things, booking side of things, asking people for money at the end of the night. Yeah.
Pounding
Getting
the
us
owner.
opportunities
Yeah.
to play, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly.
That's dope. So the band started in like 2016, but I think it's like kind of evolved since then. Is that like,
Yeah.
do you want to like go into the history a little bit? Because I was like trying to do like a little bit of a deep dig, but there's not much to go off of. So I was just kind of like building a little story in my mind. So I'll see how close I got.
I'd say they started. I'll preface by saying that none of us sitting on this couch were there when the band formed.
Okay.
Oh, interesting.
So we're all like later additions to the band. I think they started in 2015 or late 2014, probably around then.
Yeah, somewhere around then.
So a lot of us used to play in another local ska band called the Boss Witch, and
cool.
we broke up in 2014, directly after our Koi Fest set,
So
and then TNB.
wait, why? I gotta know.
Was the Koi Fest like the farewell show? Was it planned to be a farewell show, or was it?
It was something that kind of happened the night before, and it just came up, and we're like, tomorrow's our last show, and we didn't tell anybody. The band knew,
Oh, okay.
and we played, I would say, probably one of our best shows
Yeah.
at that point, and then we got off stage, and most of us were bummed out because we're like, well, that's it, okay.
Oh,
That was sick, but
Like
see
some
you
guy,
guys.
some guy came up to me and he's like, "Great set, like I love seeing you guys." Like, thanks. It's our
You're
last
never going to
show."
see us
Like,
again.
yeah.
Oh, you guys didn't even like say at the end of your set
No.
that was it.
Yeah, no.
You couldn't have
Half
like a big
hour.
hurrah or anything like that.
Yeah.
So
think-
we broke up.
Yeah, I think we were all kind of still processing and whatever. Like, it wasn't something that we had been planning for a long time, but like,
Oh, okay. It was kind of sudden.
yeah, just
Okay.
like one of the members of the band decided like they didn't want to keep going, and then we all kind of were like, well, that's
It's kind of
if
shitty,
that's
but
the
I mean,
case, then yeah.
yeah. I feel like with instances like that, like people just kind of being like, I don't want to do music anymore. Maybe like the band, it's like it's kind of always bittersweet because at the same time you know that you have to support them because they're they're doing it because like quitting music's a huge thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or not quitting music, but like quitting a band or something like that's a huge thing. But at the same time, you know, you obviously want to respect his decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it was kind of a blessing in disguise for, I'd say, a few of us too. Like myself, I was going back to college at that point, pretty much 2 months after the band broke up, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to dedicate as much time to it. So for me, it was a bittersweet thing. It worked out, but I didn't necessarily want it to be over. So then at some point after the Boss Witch broke up, then was the inception of TNB, which they actually started out called tentatively named band. because we're so great at just naming bands. And then it was just a 4-piece, 2 guitar. Well, our singer Scott played guitar and keys, just kind of switched between the two.
Right on.
So Scott, our current bassist Justin, and then our old drummer Josh Rice, and our old lead guitarist Cody Eckinsviller.
Okay.
Josh
So-
Rice. What?
Yeah. We know of Josh.
Yeah,
Rice.
you guys know Josh Rice.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah, shout out if you're out there, bro.
How do you know?
Yeah. Knowing him through these guys at our
Friends
old
of friends.
These
kinda.
guys, that's one guy.
Christian is these guys. He embodies many
All right.
people, and by
I
that
went
I
through
mean
many phases through my life.
Christian actually has multiple personalities. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Well, I guess that's a dope way for a Boss Switch to go out with a fucking kick-ass
Wait,
show.
how do you know
Yeah.
Josh Rice?
Through friends. I don't know.
What
dude.
friends?
Adam. I think Adam and Josh. introduced me to
Unbelievable.
You know
Josh.
Adam.
Josh who?
Adam Reinhardt.
Josh
Who
Cameron.
the fuck is Josh Cameron?
Oh my god, dude.
Terrible. But yeah, that's cool. Like like kind of like a last hurrah, like playing that kind of show, but also at the same time not being able to like tell
Yeah.
anybody.
It was it was really weird. It was just kind of like I said. We got on stage. We played probably one of the best shows we'd played. We played some new music that we were working on that nobody had heard before that point, and then that was kind of it.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
so then TNB started very quietly around 2015, I would say,
Yeah.
and then all of us just kind of joined on as time passed.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So it wasn't all you guys didn't all join up at the same time.
no.
As like a brute force application, it's like, hey, we would really compliment this band.
It was you,
I like-
you first,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, so there was Scott who was playing guitar and keys and singing, and he does most of the writing. And then Cody played, not this Cody, other Cody, played lead guitar. Josh was playing drums, and Justin was playing bass, Justin's still in the band. And then I joined so that Scott could just focus on singing and playing the keys.
Right on.
So I picked up rhythm guitar, and then JD was the next person to join, like a couple weeks later on trombone, and then he kind of prompted him to come join us. Like I don't know, not too long after that, eh?
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, I want to play ska. So I've been playing ska since I started playing music. Like this is my 5th ska band, and every single time I think I'm out, something happens and I get back in
On a different
So-
instrument.
on a different instrument. Yeah, so I'm a bassist, and then I'm just like, yeah, you guys, okay, bass is full. He's like, you guys want some more horns? And I went downstairs. I was living above a pawn shop downtown, and I went downstairs and there was a saxophone there. I was
Cool.
like, that's a beautiful sax. I'm
Is it
just-
the one with the 2 Blues Brothers in the window?
Yes,
Oh,
the same
really?
one. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. So I was
yeah.
living like above that pawn
Yeah.
shop, and I went downstairs, and there was this tenor sax there that I just fell in love with, and I was just like, all right. I was like, I don't know how to play this, but I'm gonna buy it, and I'm gonna join
Cool.
TNB.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
interested to know like
Yeah.
if like it's such a weird thing for somebody to pick up like
Yeah.
any horn instrument. Like in my head, it just
Yeah.
it's such a distant thing. So I was curious if you had like played it your whole life or if you just kind of picked it
Yeah,
up.
I bought it. I joined these guys, and within a month, I was playing my first show with them. And JD wasn't there, so I was like on this instrument I wasn't comfortable with playing my first
How
show.
the fuck did you
With a
learn it
new
that
band.
quickly?
Yeah.
By playing a
It
show
wasn't
and
that
not knowing
good.
how to play.
Oh.
I was in the wrong key for most of the songs,
Nice.
and like,
Yeah, I mean, you're
yeah,
a natural
I'm
musician. and you've
progressively
played-
better
you-
now.
You played trumpet before, right?
yeah. I
So,
played
like,
trumpet before.
You have a bit of experience on like a horn.
Yeah. How long have you been doing music for? Like in just in general, like any instrument.
I got my first bass when I was 13, so I've been at it for like 15 years now.
Oh
Yeah.
jeez.
So
Wow.
and like I've been in touring bands and stuff in the past. Like I lived in Vancouver for a little bit, and I was in like a signed ska band out in Vancouver and stuff.
Cool. What band was it?
They're called Rude City Riot.
Okay.
So I did a tour with them, and then when I came back in 2013, I joined up with these guys in Boss Switch, who I had known for a couple years, and then I kind of applied what I learned on the road with this other band, and I was like, all right, like let's do this here. and it kind of has worked out for us since then. So
Why'd you leave Vancouver?
I missed home.
Hey, same with me.
Yeah, it's so expensive, and
Yeah.
like everybody out there is just very like superficial, and
Yeah,
it's hard to get to know people.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it gets lonely out there.
Are people sweet here?
My friends are.
No, that's true. I
Thanks,
guess.
man.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Never mind.
So, is your current bassist?
Pardon me.
That's all right.
Damn.
we don't talk.
Do we got any fisherman's friends? Anything? Your current bass player. Today was kind of a weird day. So I met Cody like at fucking 6 a.m. today. And then
work, yeah.
I'm like editing a photo to like put up on our Instagram, and I'm like looking at the bass player. I'm like, where do I know this guy from? And it turns out he helped me quit smoking because he works out of like a little vape shop just outside of downtown.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this is such a small world. And then hearing you mention Boss Switch and Josh
Yeah.
Rice, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like
Yeah.
the KW like universe is just, it's so teensy tiny,
Yeah.
but so broad at the same time.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah,
It's weird.
You get to know everybody.
So I guess you've kind of been around the block a ton. Was he sort of like a godsend to like the rest of the band to like kind of pick up the slack?
all
where,
this like secret intel that
Yeah,
you guys
behind
might
the
have not
scenes.
known about from a touring band.
I mean, for sure, yeah. You know, a couple of us have made contacts and like been able to get us some gigs and stuff, but for the most part, it is Cody that's doing all that stuff, and he has all the contacts from before, you know. So
He's always out there networking too. As soon as we get to a show, he finds the person to talk to there and gets another name.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, like when I joined the band in 2016, the original plan from talking to the guys back then was that they just wanted to kind of play a local gig here and there, a couple times a year, and just write some cool tunes and relax. And Nathan and I talked. They were just like, man, we don't play in bands to just play in town like once or twice a year. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I want to write music and I want to take it on the road and like play in different cities and meet new people. And so that's pretty much what we did. I was just like, all right, I was like, I'm just gonna start booking shows. You guys are gonna tell me yes or no, and we're just gonna do it.
Cool.
That's awesome.
yeah.
I feel like it was, like you said, it was like a blessing in disguise. Almost like it was like needed, like just someone to kind of spearhead like the logistics part of being in a band.
Yeah.
Have you guys watched The Dirt on Netflix?
Not
I
yet.
just finished that last week.
Well,
is
what
that?
you what it's the Motley Crue
Yeah.
mockumentary
Biopic
documentary
thing,
biopic thing. Yeah,
I heard it was kind of corny, but I
Little
haven't
bit.
seen it, so
super corny, but it's still enjoyable.
A lot of
Yeah.
like breaking the fourth wall. And,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, basically what you had just said kind of reminded me of like Mick Mars, and
Yeah,
he's just like, I'm not here to fuck around.
Yeah.
I got this bone deteriorating
Yeah.
disease. I'm trying to play in a serious
Oh.
fucking band, so let's get it fucking rolling.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, shit.
He's like, are you guys the real shit, or am I just gonna walk out of this fucking
Yeah,
practice right now?
exactly,
And it's-
exactly.
Yeah, so
Cool. So you guys just dropped a single recently, "Trip and Fall,"
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Boys, that shit is fan fucking tastic.
Really good
Holy
production.
hell!
Really
good production.
Amazing
It's like
production.
full, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
That's
So-
all thanks to this guy right
Yeah, I
here.
was curious,
Yeah.
like,
That stuff?
like what's
Oh,
going on the
cool.
boards, like where are you guys recording, who's producing, who's engineering.
So I'm doing all of the recording and mixing and everything for the group right now.
Hey man, good job.
And thank you.
awesome.
And we do it for free in our jam hall.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Hey.
there's two of us.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm part of it's sort of a program or course, or I'm not sure what you would call it. It's online. And you can do anything online these days, and it's not like, doesn't follow the same like strict
right, yeah.
structures and stuff, but it's like a production course. It's called Produce Like a Pro. It's run by a guy named Warren Hewart. He's English, but he moved to LA and he's produced like Aerosmith and The Fray and
Oh, just
kinds
huge
of
bands.
huge bands, and he works with guys who who just produced all these huge bands. And he has an online course where you can download multi-tracks from shit that he's actually recorded and mixed like in his studio. So I've been doing that for a while, and I have a small collection of mics and like a few things on my rack, and I'm learning so much about it, and like when I joined the band, again, like Cody said, they weren't planning on doing too many shows and stuff. So I was like, yeah, you know, these guys are my friends. I'll come and jam with them once a week, and like I'll play a show. But then I realized like Scott's writing some really great songs, you know, and I was like, I kind of want to record them and like, you know, make them as good as we can.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's, you know, that's kind of, I'm invested in it because I'm in the band and it's our music, but it's also a great opportunity just for me to work on my skills as a producer. And
Sure.
Yeah,
recording
definitely.
engineer,
It's
you
hard
know.
to do it on your own stuff, though. Eh?
Yeah,
You
it
get too
is.
down the rabbit hole, and you're just like making
Absolutely.
all these weird mix choices, and then like you listen to it the next
I
day, you're
know.
like, I should not mix at 2 a.m. I
If you
should not
scroll
mix
through
at
our
2.
band
Yeah.
chat,
Yeah.
there is probably some days where there's like 7 bounces of a mix, and he's just like, okay, I boosted this, changed this. What do you guys
Yeah.
think? And then the next day, okay, I took all that away, and here's the new one. What do you think now?
And I bet they're all named Final 1,
Yeah.
Final, but for real this time.
Yeah.
Now,
Honestly,
how do you guys feel when you hear like the first mix he puts up? I assume you all go like, yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then he just beats himself up, and it
Yeah,
it
yeah.
goes down this long
Well,
rabbit hole.
like literally the day that we decided to release Trip and Fall, he sent us I think like 2 bounces of it, and I'm just like, all right, man, like if I'm gonna send this to distribution and we want it on like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff by the end of the week, like it's got to go out today. Are you happy with it? And he's just like,
It's fine.
he's like, okay, yeah. I was just like, man, you're just gonna like never stop mixing it unless you just like everybody else is happy with this track right now. Just let it go. It's like your child, just let it go. You know, just like.
Well, I feel like that's definitely a mix you can look at and be so proud of. Like, I can't imagine how difficult it is to like incorporate so many elements. Like, it's one thing if you've got a 3 or a 4 piece band, but like you guys have such a wide range of frequencies going on and so many different parts that I feel like could easily get muddled up, but like somehow you just made like everything pop super
Yeah.
well.
Thanks, guys. That means a lot. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No problem,
So
man.
do you guys got like other stuff cooking up right now, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on, okay, including Trip and Fall, we've been working on 4 songs. So we decided to finish Trip and Fall completely and get that out and then move on to the next 3, but we have everything except horns recorded for those 3 songs. So we just need to finish doing horns. And
What's it like recording some horns?
Yeah,
like,
that's what I was
just
going to
something
ask. That's got to be so difficult.
Yeah.
it,
How do you mic
It's
that?
a-
Yeah, what
How
kind
do
of
you
It's
mic
a
what kind of
massive
mics do you like for
cables,
recording
man.
horns? Like what's like what do you use in terms of like type of microphone?
well, for Trip and Fall, that's the best horn sound I feel like we've gotten so far, you know. And I used 2 mics on each horn. So Cody played into, was it the Solaris?
Yeah, it was a Solaris.
Okay, I had Audio Technica Solaris.
Cool.
And I put that in front of the bell, and then I put, M Audio Solaris, and then I have an Audio Technica 4040 that I put down beside the keys.
Okay.
So that got a bit more of the low end, and then the Solaris got some
Interesting.
bright
You put it
end.
on the bottom of
Like,
it.
like
beside.
Right where like the valves are, when you hit the keys and the valves open at the side. So that was
Yeah.
mic'd. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then for the trombone, I had
That shit was crazy. The trombone.
yeah, I got
Yeah,
that.
it's
My
such a,
friend
like such a
has
long instrument. So when someone's like moving it, like how do you?
So I have my friend who has a 3D printer print off this clip that goes on the side of an SM57, and it can hold a pencil condenser.
Oh, it's like a little like set like a stereo setup thing.
It's like
Oh.
it's like sort of crab claw kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I put them this like right, line them up. So SM57 and the Rode M5, and then did I have the Cloud Lifter at that point? for the trombone?
Yeah, what the fuck
Yeah,
is
what's
a
the
cloud
cloud
lifter?
lifter?
Cloud lifter it's basically a portable, like really tiny. It's almost a preamp, but it's
Okay.
it literally has an XLR in on one side and on the other side, and it's like this big.
Okay.
It's passive, right?
Passive, yeah. You have to use phantom power, so you can only use it on
Condensers and stuff.
yeah.
Ribbon mics? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Obviously.
We
Yeah.
can't afford those.
And then
Yeah.
it'll boost your headroom by like about 25 dB, so you can get it right up in the trombone because that thing is so loud.
Yeah.
And it'll make the 57 like it'll give it a lot more headroom and it won't
Interesting.
crap
You use a
out.
dynamic though for a for a trombone.
Yeah. And for whatever reason, it just sounded great, and then I combined the two tracks of each and put them through my compressor, and
Just there it is.
yeah,
Your
and,
vocal
like,
mic was pretty crazy though too.
yeah. What I did 2 mics for the vocals as well. I was gonna say something with the horns though.
That's all right.
Fucking Nick.
I'm a piece of
Drummers,
shit.
drummers, always distracting.
The hardest thing I think about recording horns was like not necessarily the setup, like
Yeah.
experimenting with the setup. Once I found it, I was like, okay, that sounds great.
Cool.
It's the best. You get the best feel and performance when the guys play and record together.
Oh yeah.
So it just means you have to do a lot more takes and a lot more editing because they both have to play the take
Right.
really, really well.
It's like recording like a drum setup. It's like when you start editing
Yeah.
like drums and stuff, it's like
Yeah.
everything is dependent on each other. If you move one thing, it just makes everything sound all.
It's a whole
messed
mess
up.
of cables because JD and I were standing side by side. We both have 2 mics on us. We both have our headphones on, and like my headphone cable wasn't long enough, so we had to swap out the cable with this one. And
Oh
like,
jeez.
yeah, so it's a bit of a mess, but it works really, really well. Especially
Yeah,
the new
man, it
setup.
comes like that track comes roaring in, like the fucking low end. I've never heard something like that on a ska tune, and I've listened to a ton of fucking ska.
Yeah.
So like, whatever you did, keep
Yeah.
doing that.
Yeah,
Thanks, man.
yeah.
Keep 3D printing.
Yeah.
Printing mic clips.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
that's
that
really
was
good.
really
Interesting.
sweet.
How did you did you think of that yourself, or did
No, I
somebody
found
else
a design.
suggest
I think
that?
I found a design on Reddit.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Of course.
just like send it to my friend, and I was like, "Can you do this?" He was like, "Yeah."
Cool.
That's
Cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
So you dudes played at the 420 Fest
Yep.
a couple weeks ago. Did you have a good time?
Yeah. That was fun.
We were I mean I could speak for myself. We were all probably pretty fucking tired by
Oh my
420.
God.
We did a little run of shows that week. So starting that Thursday we played Oshawa, and Friday we played Newmarket, and then we played the 420 Fest. And it's like I think it was our first time doing 3 shows back to back.
And for some reason, we decided to drive home every fucking night.
Uh,
So we got home at like 4 a.m.
Fuck,
every
yeah.
single time.
God damn.
Yeah, climbing into bed at 4 a.m. and I've got a 7-month-old daughter at home.
Congratulations,
So,
by
thank
the way.
you.
Yeah.
So like I'm just going home, and I was like, I know that I'm gonna have to be as energetic as possible when I wake up tomorrow for her, and not easy to do.
Yeah.
You look pretty chipper. I mean,
Yeah.
I get plenty of sleep, and you look way better than me. I don't know. I'm
You do need your sleep.
starting to think too much sleep is detrimental to my health.
It is.
Yeah, that's what I
think
found.
about
Is
that
like
a
if
lot,
I sleep,
really.
I think like 6 hours is probably
Yeah,
my
there's a sweet
my
spot,
sweet
right?
spot.
Yeah, yeah.
If I go like 7 hours, sometimes I'm okay. If I go 8 hours, I feel like shit all day. But like,
yeah.
yeah.
So was the show at Harmony the last show of like that little run for you guys, or
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
The 420
Yeah, we
Fest.
played Chainsaw.
oh, okay?
Chainsaw.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Unbelievable,
Yeah.
dude.
Fuck, man.
Do your research.
Yeah, do some fucking research.
I get a one
The
out of 3
fuck,
chance,
man.
you know?
How was it playing to the punk rock flea market, like with that kind of shared environment with them? Like, how did
Yeah.
it feel as opposed to like just a regular show environment?
420 was great.
Yeah,
There
I
was
didn't
a
mind it.
really
I
good-
think that was the second punk rock flea market we've
Oh,
done.
cool.
Yeah, we did the punk rock flea market in December last year, as well.
Which I think was the last show we did before our 3 shows, right? We took a bit of time off to record.
We played Harmony Lunch in January.
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right.
And then we took 3 months off of doing shows to record these 4 tracks that we've been working on. So
And
Cool.
just like other personal stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Did the turnout to 420 Fest blow your minds as much as it did ours?
Yeah, man.
I was I was super stoked for them.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. Like, I thought because we shot like this little video, and I thought we were gonna go out and have like maybe a couple people to talk to, a couple little things we could put together, but it was like overwhelming, like quickly.
Yeah.
Like we got there like right when things started rolling, and like I don't know, dude. I've never seen this like kind of energy like since
Yeah.
like Koi Fest, like back in the day. I feel like there's like this total like revitalization going on right now.
And it was so relaxed. The environment was so relaxed. Like nobody.
Yeah.
There was no drama. There was no issues, and you had that many people.
Yeah, I
and
think
kind of
Chris
in those-
Walton had said
Yeah.
like there was no police call.
No.
Nobody had to be escorted
So
out of
everybody
any
was high.
venue.
The focus was not
Yeah,
on
everyone
it's
was
no
fucking
Ezra
blitzed for
Street.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was just super excited for the success of it because, like, I know Chris Walton on a personal level. I grew up with him. And
Oh, really? Cool.
I used to play in Father Bodies with him.
Right. Okay.
And so, like, him and I were talking in the days leading up to the festival, and I know he was, like, super stressed out. And I would message him each morning and be like, "Did you sleep last night? Like, are you vomiting yet?" And, like, so I was just really, really happy for, like, him and Kyle Wappler and all those guys that were involved in making it happen. I was just
Aaron,
really, really,
Brian.
really
Yeah.
happy for them to see the success and see the
yeah,
turnout.
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I caught Kyle a couple times during the day.
Guy was just rushing
Yes,
around
just
like a madman.
sprinting around, and he
Yeah.
booked himself to play an acoustic set too.
Yeah.
Like in the
Yeah.
middle of the
Yeah.
day, we were like, I was talking to
Fucking
Trauma
guy.
Lanes, and he just goes sprinting by, and he's like, "I'm late for my set." And I'm like, "What do you mean
What
your
do you-
set, dude? What are you
I was
doing?"
trying to find out what was going on with the back line at Patton because my other band played there.
Yeah.
And he was just like all flustered, and I didn't realize he was preparing. And then he runs on stage and just does a bunch of spoken word poetry. I'm like, okay, like.
How the fuck did he find time for all of that?
Well,
It's
when
Kyle,
I
man.
was
He's-
when I was interviewing him, he said that
Scene dad.
I don't know if it was Chris or somebody else who was helping with the event, but he said my partner is doing 3 sets today, so I
Yeah, it
figured
was
the least I
Walton,
could. It was Walton.
Yeah,
Yeah, so Kyle was like, I figured the least I could do was 1.
yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
insane.
no, Walton, he's in Lager,
What would
Bad
bands
Egg,
does he
and
play?
Father Bodies.
Hey, my friend's
so,
in Lager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the drummer.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
So yeah,
They're pretty intense.
They did 3 sets. He keeps busy in and out.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
That's insane.
Yeah, I don't know why you would want to do that to yourself.
Uh,
Holy shit.
No one will beat Dylan though. Like, how many bands does that guy play in?
yeah, they're
And then he does his like
cassettes,
cassettes and
three
radios?
nines cassettes.
That guy runs 3-9.
Yeah,
what-
yeah.
Is that what it's called? 3-9.
3-9
Yeah,
cassettes. Yeah. So
yeah.
he's in he's the bassist for Father Bodies, and he also played with Ned Flangers and Death Party Playground
Nice.
that night. So he did
Jeez.
3 sets, but then he's also in like a variety of other bands and stuff too. And like I had to quit Father Bodies when I found out I had a kid on the way because I was like, there's no way I can
Yeah,
keep up with
right.
both bands. And
Yeah, I
So-
feel like it's kind of like I didn't realize how much band members were like switching around
Yeah.
until I
Yeah.
saw all these local bands together at like
Yeah.
on like one day, and I'm like watching a band in one place, and I'm like checking out who's there, and then I go to like another venue, I'm like, wasn't he just playing with? What the fuck is going
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
must have happened like 8 or 9
Teleportation, man.
times during
Yeah,
the day
There's
with
so
like
much of that
various
going on.
people.
That's- I mean,
What's
it's
with this
great.
incestuous music community?
Well, I was like, how many people have twins, dude? Like,
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going on?
That's a much more.
That's
polite answer
what
than
that's
mine.
what 7 joints will do to you.
Yeah.
There's a
It makes
lot
you
of
just,
fucking
it makes you just
twins
think
here,
you're in other
man.
bands. It's like I don't know. They said we're on 6, so I just came up with this band and started playing them.
So, you guys also got some cassettes done by 3-9s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
How dope was that?
That's awesome.
They look so good.
Yeah, man, they
So
look
good.
sweet.
yeah.
So like I've been kind of mulling this over in my head for a little while and trying to figure out why tapes. I don't get it. Why are they making a resurgence? But it's like such a cool little
It
like
is.
yeah.
like set piece, like little item to have.
Yeah.
I think we have
Yeah.
it more as like a novelty
Right.
than the way we want to release our music.
Right.
Because like not that many people have cassettes, but the people who have it are really into it,
Yeah.
right? And for all of us to have one at the end of the day too, like it's kind of a cool piece
It's a
for
collector's item
memorabilia,
almost,
right?
alongside it with
Yeah,
it being
exactly.
the actual music.
We
Well,
also
like-
had all our merch stolen in London.
What?
too.
What?
How
did-
some
Yeah,
guy
in
broke into
November,
Scott's
yeah.
car, smashed a bunch of windows.
Scott's
Really
living in
needed
London,
shirts.
So he commutes every day.
Leave it to London.
Yeah,
and
that
we
guy,
lost all of
like
it
you
there.
said, he
So
definitely
to have
needs
something
shirts.
to give away
Sure.
is a good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been lagging on getting more
Yeah.
more CDs sent out, but the thing is with our band name, the one thing we've noticed every time we play shows, like people are receptive to us, but a lot of people that are intoxicated have no idea how to spell our band name, and they do not remember us. Like I watched a guy try to search us on Spotify
Yeah.
like 6 times, and then the search result he was like, "You guys are sick, man, like what's your name?" And I told him, and he's standing there in front of me typing our band name into Spotify, and then it comes up finally and it's spelt completely incorrectly, and it says no results, and he's like,
Right.
"Cool, man, I just downloaded your tunes, thanks." And he like walks away, and I'm just like, all right, so the thing I tell people when they come to our merch booths now, if they don't have a cassette player, is like, you know what, like buy the cassette because it's all we have right now, but I was like, I'll give you a download code for our album as well.
Cool.
And at the end of the day, it works as like it's a business card. It's a cassette.
Yeah.
And it's
That
a
is
business card
a
for
good
us.
point.
So
It does work. It's
yeah.
even shaped the size just a little.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, when I
little
first started
chonky.
looking into the cassettes, I didn't realize like they were all like decked out with art and like you're getting like custom colors and stuff
Yeah.
done. So like I
Oh, that's cool.
I get it. I
Yeah.
get it now.
Yeah.
Like
And
I was merely looking at it like, why would somebody want to put their music on like an inferior,
It,
like degrading?
it does seem like a very like hipster
Yeah.
thing to do.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
but, yeah.
Dylan 39 cassettes, he does like really good work with it, and like
Yeah.
he works super hard. I've seen him in his little like studio before, and he's pulled like all-nighters to get a band's release ready for the next day.
Yeah,
Jeez.
like,
Where he's just sitting there and he's
yeah.
just like making like 50 copies of a cassette, and he's just in there all night just drinking coffee and beer and like
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So-
works harder in this
yeah,
scene than
yeah. So-
most people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're trying to bring him on the show, but maybe we'll just go stare at him fucking work because that sounds way more
Yeah,
interesting.
it's-
Just there with the mic, just like. So what do you do
What are
now?
you doing now?
What do you do now?
copying this tape.
That'd actually be pretty cool.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Yeah, and I always-
talk
We should
about
get
it
that
later.
lined up.
Yeah, that guy's.
Well, I
grinds
have
like
been in
crazy,
touch with
though.
him.
No, you haven't.
I have.
Nope.
I think he also, in some of the B-roll we had for the 420 video, shows up as a disembodied voice, screaming out, "Have hope rules!"
Yeah, to Kyle when he's getting.
So when
interviewed.
he's oh, that was with Kyle.
Yeah.
Uh.
Unless it happened multiple times.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Heard a
either.
lot of people screaming in that video.
Yeah, there's a lot of people yelling, despite I don't think anyone being really that intoxicated
Yeah.
through alcohol. But yeah, that's that guy's grinding super hard on those tapes because I see him every Harmony show now. He's just
Yeah,
there
he shows up.
Yeah.
with just the full spread,
Yeah.
and it's
And he does the radio shows too.
Yeah,
every
yeah,
Tuesday at
CKMS,
9
yeah.
o'clock, I think, right?
really
Yeah, man.
He's got our tunes on there a couple times now. So.
dope.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I wanted to mention that. I saw that. I think he was like DJing or kind of like hosting like a little sound stage out in like Waterloo Town Square.
During
Like,
the ice skating.
yeah, man. There's fucking ska just like blaring
Yeah,
out
yeah.
in the middle of winter. I'm like, the juxtaposition is perfect. Like, so awesome.
This isn't a beach
It's so awesome. It's so awesome.
or a skate
I'm just
park.
imagining people trying to skank on ice. On skates.
Liability.
How is your audience reception like when you guys play live shows? You get a lot of people skanking around and dancing and having a good time?
Yeah, we'll get a handful. Like Chainsaw is always great. Like I said,
Yeah.
you know, the punk rock. When we had the punk rock flea market, it kind of like forces people to come up a little bit if they're
Right.
watching us. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. They don't want to
You
watch
can't really
from like
sit at the
amidst
flea
stalls.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Harmony is always an amazing show. It's like
yeah.
whenever we play Harmony, it's like every single person
That wants to be there.
that's there like really wants to be.
Everyone's in their
yeah.
jackets.
Yeah.
Because like
It's so focused though, because it's just so
yeah.
tight that like everyone's just looking at the front, and everyone can be pretty close no matter where they are.
It's one of those places too that feels like a hometown like refuge. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of tough because like a lot of the bars are just filled up with like students that are from out of town and they don't care about like the local scene.
Yeah.
And I've definitely seen more than a few of them like turn up their nose like when they walk past Harmony Lunch and shit. So like Harmony and like Chainsaw and places like that, it just feels like you're safe and it's kind of cozy and you're at home.
I'd say we have a pretty good reception. Like we've played a couple like festivals and stuff. Like we played the True North Beer Festivals last year, and like people seem to really enjoy it. We were asked to tone our language down a little bit because there was some like
really? I was listening to the tunes and I'm like, wow, these guys are pretty clean.
But so there's definitely a positive reception to us. I think we're still kind of trying to figure out our identity, because ska is now, it's such a broad genre. It's still very niche, but there's definitely some gatekeeping in the genre,
definitely, for sure.
So we're just kind of trying to find, like, we do really well at punk shows, we do really well at like ska specific shows, but it's just trying to figure out where on that line we sit, because like Trip and Fall is a very like just a very like fast, hard-hitting punk
High
tune
energy,
for us.
But it's got like those pop elements too that like you can kind of like mix and mingle with different crowds, I think.
Like we played with the Slackers, who
Yeah,
are very
what was
like
that, last
traditional.
week?
Yeah, last week at Maxwell's, and they're very like traditional, like rock steady style ska band. And like, I find
different.
a lot of people either lean to that sound, or to like the third wave kind of punk ska thing that we're doing.
Definitely.
So it's kind of like, it's hard to find that audience, especially at the Slacker show. They have a very like I'd say like more of an older oriented crowd. So like a lot of people are like, okay, I'm not sure if I came here tonight to listen to fast distortion into upstrokes.
I feel like ska's like one of those weird genres where you'll get a lot of fans between the ages of, let's say, like 13 to 22, and then they kind of fall off until like they're in like their middle age. Like I feel like people just get like caught up with like working and stuff, and they just don't involve that much time.
There's the 60-year-olds that still wear their pork pie hats and listen to the specials. And then there's the guys that grew up with Tony Hawk Pro Skater. So it's like
do you guys feel like pretty dope that, like, in my opinion, you're kind of like pushing the sound of the genre forward? Like, I'm not even lying on that. Like, I truly do feel like that.
I think ska is kind of coming back. Like,
I hope so.
As another, like, I don't want to say another wave, but like, there's so many bands who are getting into it now and doing exactly what you said. They're just kind of pushing it that extra little bit, putting in like elements of like hip hop and stuff like that.
I was gonna say, like, your drums sound like inspired by not just like traditional punk.
Like you weren't really familiar with ska until we brought you into the band, right?
Until I joined the band.
What were you doing before?
It definitely shows, and not in a bad way.
I started in high school. I actually like played the bassoon for a while, and then I sat behind the kit one day and realized that's what I loved. And I was a diehard metalhead in high school, and that's what I played all through high school. It was like death metal and hardcore and all that type of stuff. And then I stopped listening to that completely and got into funk. And funk and jazz kept me for a long time, and I'm still really into that. So I think my drumming is kind of like a mix between funk and metal, which is weird.
I think it's perfect, dude. Like, to me, in modern ska music, the drums are so fucking stale. Like, it's just the three like kind of like breakbeat loops that just go over and over and over and over. And then like I'm listening to your music, and it's so fresh and organic sounding. Like, it's not as rigid as I'm used to listening to over the past couple of years.
Because the other elements are like giving it the ska aesthetic, but then like the movement behind it is like slightly variated, which is...
I play with a really weird, like most drummers for ska, punk, all that type of stuff, these really bright cymbals, really low tuned drums, and I have high tuned drums and really dark, dry cymbals. So I think that drum sound in itself kind of gives it a bit of a difference.
Sure.
Just because it's so much more like you can hear all the hits instead of it just being a big wash.
Yeah, I was gonna say, as opposed to sounding like it's kind of falling over the tops of the tracks, it really just like punches through, and it kind of hits you in this different way.
I was really happy with the drum sound we got on these upcoming songs too. It just, like, every other recording I've done, like, there's been something that I've picked on with it, but like as soon as we laid it down, I was just like, you got it, man. Like, that was it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you do differently with the miking?
So what we tried this time, I mean, I don't know what Nick has done before.
Most of my stuff is close mic,
mostly
studio,
close
like
miking.
traditional rock setup.
I think we had 5 mics maybe. We did like a variation on the Glyn Johns method. So one overhead, like if I'm the drummer and my snare is here, you kind of have one overhead above the snare pointing down on an angle, and then you have your other overhead over to the right, kind of between your ride and your floor tom, and those are equidistant from the middle of the snare, and that kind of captures, in theory, those 2 mics should capture everything, but we close mic'd the kick and the snare as well.
Yeah, you had the little
clip,
yeah,
and I had the 57 and a pencil condenser on the snare, and then
we had one room mic as well.
Oh yeah, and a room mic.
Did you do that method like through the mix subscription videos that you've been kind of watching, or was that totally through just your own kind of idea? Like, hey, I'll try like the Glyn Johns method.
I think
then...
Nick suggested it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think he sent me an article.
The reason that I liked it is that you get a really nice stereo spread. You almost get like drummer vision,
Cool.
because you get like a natural pan of the kit, but it's not so exaggerated where you got like your hi-hat cranked to the left and your floor tom's way over on the right. You still get a bit of bleed through it,
Cool.
but it's more ambient. It's not so precise and like strangled to death by all the effects you put on it, you know, because like most people, you have like your tom channel, and that tom channel every now and again you hear and like the little bit of low end that goes with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But this is just a way more organic sounding recording for sure.
So you guys had said one of your members predominantly does the writing. Is that for like most of like the rhythm and like melody sections, or like what does the writing process look like for such a large band?
So Scott, who's our lead singer and organ player, he writes all the lyrics, and he will generally come up with like a chord progression and like he might come up with a horn line and stuff like that, and then most of the time he'll come to me, and then we'll work together in my apartment and like make a little bit of a demo, which will...
Do your neighbors love you?
My neighbor, I live at the top of a triplex, and the basement doesn't have anyone in it, and the guy on the main floor is pretty cool. He doesn't complain so far. I mean, he watches movies and just cranks the shit out of them anyways.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
It's kind of mutual.
You're lucky, man.
Yeah, so that's generally how it goes. I've written a couple of the songs that we're working on right now. Well, like we were talking about before with Scott, generally there's like 2 or 3 drum beats.
Mm-hmm.
I'll pretty much pick one and send it to Nick and be like, do something
Nickify
more
it.
interesting. Yeah. And he always like, our songs have definitely taken on a different life, had more feel since
one of the new
Nick has
ones,
joined.
Stop Motion. That one used to be like a strictly like reggae tune, and it was very chillin', and now it's just become so, it's still reggae, but it's so
It's got
heavy.
this really cool like shuffle in it, like
Yeah.
It's a heavy reggae tune. It's like reggae core.
Reggae chorus.
Reggae
So-
Sounds awesome.
Yeah,
You heard it here first.
yeah, we should
But yeah,
finish that one.
and the horns come up with some of their own stuff too. It's like Scott will, I guess he'll come up with like the bones and the lyrics and stuff, and kind of the band will flesh it out as it goes. But he does most of like the groundwork for it.
Cool.
Yeah.
He also fucking murders those keys, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super skilled.
Yeah, his organ sound is awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of refreshing to hear a sound like that.
And just the stuff he writes too, like a lot of our songs will go like different places and have like 3 different sections and different feels and
Yeah.
stuff. And, like,
He's a master.
He tries to blend genres.
Yeah.
Like the first track on our EP, Space. We always say that's like our multi-genre song because it starts off like a very fast, hard-hitting punk song, and then it goes into like a very poppy ska song, and it goes a bit reggae and a bit Dixieland, and then goes back to fast punk
Cool.
and like So
Yeah, I was listening to like your latest record and just going through it. I'm like the sounds are so diverse. Like
yeah, he listens to so much different music, a lot of like old school stuff, a lot of stuff that just like I've never even heard of before, you know. Like,
I feel like it's always good to have one of those friends.
Yeah, he draws his influences from so many different.
That's
places.
cool, like the left field
Yeah.
influence, kind of the wild card kind of
he's-
influence.
He says like one of his biggest influences is No Effects, and you can kind of hear it in some of our songs. And then like he actually introduced a lot of us to like Propagandhi.
Cool.
We weren't really listening to them that much, and then we were playing card games and drinking beers at his apartment one night, and he put on their first album, and we're just like, Jesus Christ, like,
Yeah,
and
insane.
he's just like, he's like, I get inspiration from these guys, and he listened. He grew up in with the Mormon Church,
Interesting.
Sick.
so he used to like smuggle punk records into his house and hide them from his parents and stuff like that.
It's
And-
fucking
What a
hilarious.
life,
Yeah.
man.
So and that was kind of his like rebellion. He's like, I'm gonna listen to fucking punk rock, and now he now he writes music, and he's
Wow.
So I do you guys want to do like the musical history thing?
I wanted to ask one thing.
Yeah,
actually,
go
before
ahead.
we go ahead with that is so you said working with this guy, it's like you can have the song that transcends so many genres.
Yeah.
Are you guys at a point now where you'll just if any idea is like accepted and you just kind of see how far you can go with that, or do you guys see something being like, if it's gone too far, you're like, okay, we need to like reel it back a bit, like it's kind of going
I
too
don't
far?
think we hit that point yet.
no.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Probably just means you guys will probably
We've been spending a lot of time with this band called Copper Crown from Toronto. And so we just did like our 3-day run that we were talking about. We did it with them, and they started with like more of a ska sound, but they've transcended genres like so much. Like they're like a rock band with some ska influence. They got some like prog in their music and stuff like that. And like talking to them and their influences, like their stuff ranges from like the Slackers to Coheed and Cambria, and like that's
dope.
like their influences. So they're all over the place with their sound, and I think having spent as much time with them as we have lately, like I could probably see more experimentation leaking into our music down the line. But right now we're kind of just seeing what we can do with the genre that people thought they knew.
Sure.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
shows. It's
Yeah.
like it's awesome.
Yeah, it's like we all do come from slightly different musical backgrounds, and I think we have that. It's just feeling comfortable experimenting with that now, and we've had a few lineup changes and added members and stuff, but now I think we're feeling a bit more stable in that, and now that we're like recording and stuff, we're all a lot closer and I feel like anyways that's going to be like a possibility soon for us to really like start doing that. Because like Nick said, he comes from a metal background and is way into funk as well, and jazz, and like Scott and Justin are way into the skate punk, like No Effects and that kind of thing. Cool. Scott also listens to like old school rock, and he listens to hip hop and stuff.
Yeah.
And like
I can't tell you how many times I've climbed in his car and just had like NWA blasting,
nice.
and it's just like, okay, let's incorporate it.
I relate to that. I have NWA Straight Outta Compton in my CD player in my car since I bought it, and it's never come out.
Nice.
Just like I always listen to like Spotify or whatever, but if my phone's dead, that CD's just going on every time. So we're coming up on an hour here. We usually do a couple minute break, and then we'll hop back and we can dig more into you guys.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay, be right back.
Hey, Evan.
Devin.
Get Devin.
Hey, everybody.
Hello?
Hey.
Chill out, dude.
What the fuck is this?
Shrek is love. Shrek is life.
Get out of the swamp, donkey.
Oh, he's trapped behind the frame and no views.
What? I'm all for this. This is my religion now.
That's fine. It's just time. That's time. It's just time. Wow.
Imagine owning like a little Shrek.
Dude, it looks perfect.
Oh yeah.
Look at those weaves.
Oh
Who
my
spends their
God.
time making that?
That's
Where did
amazing.
that idea come from?
Yeah.
You could say that about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's
For
true.
real?
That's
Have you
true.
ever heard the so originally Chris Farley was supposed to voice Shrek, and there's
Okay.
actual like
Was there like a demo reel?
yeah, there's demo reels of
Look that up
Chris
for us,
Farley with his lines, and it was like a totally different vocal performance as it would be, but then of course Chris Farley passed away unfortunately.
Jeez. I wonder how it would have sounded like.
This is it here.
Oh. I guess we'll find out.
Or not.
Nothing like a fire and a noble romantic mission to warm the cockles of your heart.
Yeah.
That's not Chris Farley.
My cockles room temperature. Thank you very much.
Weird.
I think it's actually funnier because it's Chris Farley.
Yeah, he's not doing a
God
voice.
gets his princess. I get what I want.
Which is? Now come on, what do you want?
I don't have time to set a
Oh, it doesn't suit it.
Yeah.
This is another
He's
one of
almost
those onion things.
condescending.
Yeah. That's
This
so
is one of
weird.
those drop
I'm
it,
living in a
leave me
van
alone
down by the
things.
swamp.
Why do you want to talk about it?
Why you
Do you guys relate to
Why are
Shrek?
you asking
The
questions
fuck
you
does
don't
that mean?
answer?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
is that-
Do you feel like an ogre?
Do you feel like you have layers?
I mean, like if I had a nice plot of land in a mosquito-ridden swamp, I'd probably be pretty fucking pissed if people started intruding on that. too.
True.
It's my
Ew.
mosquitoes.
Yo, you guys remember that scene where he makes a candle out of earwax?
Yep.
That's the most sickening thing I've ever seen in a movie.
I feel like if you could actually do that though and hit up that Etsy market, you could find some
That's true.
fucked up people
That's so
Like
true,
the
man.
most natural, most
Yeah.
Artisan.
organic candle.
topped with hair from under my knee.
Yeah,
Free range earwax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god. gluten-free.
Even though the Etsy market is now just people buying stuff on Wish and then just like
Yeah.
painting it or gluing it with something else they bought off Wish and then being
Yeah.
like, hey, it's this
I just
Look
keep
at this
seeing
art.
Artisanal.
500% markup.
I just
Buy
keep
and
seeing
sell.
rocks
Yeah.
tied to metal, tied to strings.
Yeah.
What?
And like like
What's that supposed to be?
It's a
Like-
demon
like a
like
home
a,
decor
a
thing.
necklace or a bracelet, or you hang it off your
Necklace?
ceiling or your wall, or
Yeah.
I don't know. Also, the rocks are supposed to heal you.
Oh, like
Healing
quartz?
rocks. Yeah.
Yeah.
That should be our next
Topaz?
merch purchase.
Healing rocks.
Yeah.
T&B healing rocks.
Theoretically nameless
With 100%
heels.
more skank.
I would buy the fuck out of that.
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
that,
you would.
That has like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is.
Neither.
Forget it.
I'm trying. I've been trying to, and I don't want to give this away on in case people are gonna try and steal this idea. And not that it's really a stealable idea, but I've been trying to like think outside the box for band merch for a while, and like, what four out of the 6 of our band members are vapors, so I was like, that's kind of an untapped market.
Like
is
a
for
vape
us to
juice
do-
flavor?
Do our own vape juice flavor.
Yo,
and I looked.
Excision
I
did
looked.
that,
I
dude.
looked
Fucking-
into it, and like, there's really not a lot of bands doing it yet.
Is there a
I think.
few?
I think. Some of one larger like classic rock band is doing it right now. I
Okay,
don't remember
interesting.
who.
Probably Kiss.
yeah, there's like this
Or like
huge like
Gwar.
electronic.
Gwar, yeah.
They probably have
Yeah.
a vape juice.
But you know, like
blood.
I just said, our bassist Justin works in a vape shop, so like, put that shit on display, and you know,
Dude,
take-
that's such
take
a good idea.
commish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea.
What would the branding be on it? Like, what would each of your flavors be?
Well, we got the muffin.
Yeah, we got the
Something
Oh,
natural
yeah.
like churros.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of
something
our friends
natural like
designed one of our friends designed a
Nation.
mascot
Yeah.
for us. Just he was doing some art, and it's like a cupcake man,
Yeah.
Oh,
roll the
he's
image.
running
Yeah.
around
Imagine-
with a bottle of liquor.
Yeah,
and
it's like
a
Mr.
pipe in his
Potato
hand.
Head. Yeah, Mr. Potato Head, but it's like a cupcake, and he's like all strung out. And yeah,
I like that mascot.
yeah.
It's a-
Yeah,
it's a
we've
You
good
could do
one.
like a cupcake.
We've been
with
trying
vape
to
juice.
put them on T-shirts, but T-shirts are expensive with the more color.
Yeah.
So we're trying to like
He's a colorful.
we're trying to
cupcake.
workshop him a little bit to make him cheaper on a T-shirt.
I feel like you could probably pull off like a toned down
Yeah.
like minimalist
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
nice line work version of him.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know.
Pastry
That's a
man.
great idea.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
Evan,
you
if
can
you
get-
if you pull up their Instagram, there's a photo of it on there.
Or even like
We've
our-
seen
I
some
think
other
our
bands
band
get pretty
can.
creative with their merch lately, like
High vis.
Yeah, we were thinking about doing some high vis merch
Yeah. yeah.
because our band's called Danger Liker.
Oh
that's
shit!
an
You guys are
ama-
Danger Liker. Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
like one of the
proud
best band names I've ever heard. By the
Oh,
Uh,
way.
thanks, man.
Yeah.
I
Um,
think our handle's just theoretically Nameless Band.
Let's see if
Here's-
this
here's
sober
the-
person can
here's the
spell it
spelling.
right.
Yeah. But yeah, for our merch, we've just been thinking of like just high vis merch or I don't
I
know.
saw you guys at Maxwell's when you opened for Intervals.
Oh,
and
really?
That was
Somewhere. Yeah.
fantastic.
Oh shit! Thanks,
Hey.
man. Jeez.
fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah,
It's
that was.
it's nice to meet another fan.
Oh, there it
Yeah,
is.
there's only
right there,
3 of
yeah.
us.
For the,
Yeah, you rock
the
out
trip
pretty
and
hard.
fall art. Go up a bit.
Let's see.
Cupcake
There,
man.
Right there.
Cupcake man. Oh yeah.
That's pastry man.
Little
yeah,
cherry on
Cupcake
top.
Man.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that.
Oh, he's
By
got
my
a
friend
stogie
Ian Doyle,
too.
and I
Yeah.
think
He's got like
coloring and
Got
inking
the
by Megan
breath mint
Maxted.
bow tie. and
Licorice eyebrows.
what's the thing on the beer bottle? Oh wait, no, that's himself gripping around. His fingers gripping around. it.
Yeah.
Cool.
What do you think? Where do you think he's going?
He's giving them the old razzle dazzle. Well,
Silence.
Dead air.
Dope.
He doesn't even
Didn't
know
you buy
where
some
he's
sweet
going,
merch at
so
the
how are
Slacker
we
show
supposed
last
to
week?
know, man?
yeah.
I did.
He
yeah.
put us in like a
I
weird
got-
roadblock.
I at the Slacker show, I was able to get I got a onesie for my daughter.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's like up to 12 months, and it's just a black Slackers onesie with the band name and some checkerboarding on
What?
it. And
They know their fucking audience
Yeah.
so well.
Yeah, no
That's
shit, right?
crazy.
Yeah.
buy it for your grandkids.
Yeah,
They're either
like,
20
oh,
and they
they're
got a
probably
kid,
around
or they're
this-
60 and they
this
got a
age, yeah.
grandkid,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I'm seeing a lot more of that. Like some of the touring bands coming through Maxwell's and stuff. They're doing like onesies and
Yeah, it's really
It's like-
interesting.
Do
Like, if-
baby merch.
kind of
Yeah.
niche,
Oh,
but
yeah.
like the parents that enjoy your band are probably gonna eat it up.
oh
They're
yeah,
like I don't look good in band tees anymore, so at least my child will.
There's one band I played with at Harmony, and they actually sold habanero hot sauce as merch, and it was fantastic. Like they had a little sample board with chips and the hot sauce, and they just gave it to everyone,
What?
and then you could buy a bottle of hot
I'm
sauce
so
for $12.
happy the
It's my
music
favorite hot
industry is
sauce.
such bullshit that you guys have to make hot sauces and
Yeah.
vape juices.
I
now.
wonder if they
Yeah,
just
yeah.
This is good
rebranded
for the
bottle.
consumers.
Yeah. I've seen some bands do coffee,
Yeah,
like make their own, like roast their own coffee beans, and it's
A
like
dude in Lager sells vegan, I think, beef jerky.
vegan beef jerky.
Yeah.
I wonder what it's made of.
Beef.
I don't know, but the spices
Soy
get
sauce.
real hot at the end.
Whoa,
Whoa.
vegan beef jerky though, like it's like because
I guess you just called
meat.
it
So like, what
vegan
are you
jerky.
Yeah, I guess vegan jerky.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you dehydrating? Like
I
tofu
tried
or
some the other
tempeh?
day. My girlfriend's a vegetarian, and
There's no taste until the end where all the spices just kick in.
No,
no, it tasted like the flavoring, the texture was fine. Like it didn't taste weird, but it only tasted like whatever flavoring was on it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
like,
Just
it's
like
not
did you
bad.
try?
It's just
It was
like
like a
overloaded
sweet
spices.
barbecue.
Yeah.
Eh,
I feel
Not
like
for
without the
me,
meat
but-
flavor, that's just so overpowering. Like that's too much.
I don't know. Some veg stuff is like pretty good. Like
Not tofurkey. Mm-mm.
I've heard tofurkey's pretty good.
Well, you heard wrong.
The best
I
thing
heard,
I've
I
ever
heard
had.
the
the orange
Beyond
chicken.
burgers are like
Beyond Burgers are amazing.
excellent. Yeah. I-
And
So is
W-
that like a brand that makes that?
I think
Like
so. I think
Beyond?
it's just Beyond Meat or
Zara's
something.
carries it now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
like,
was gonna
as the
say I see it
same
at the
thing.
grocery stores now,
Yeah.
but I look
Yeah.
at it and I'm like, I'm good.
It's honestly really good. Like I got it at A&W, and it like looks like tastes like it,
Yeah.
but the only thing that it doesn't have the same as the meat is the smell. Like if you have a takeout bag and you're driving in your car and you go home, it just smells like a bunch
Plants?
of like it just does not smell like meat. Like,
I love
being
that
cooked.
smell after you take home a killing of McDoubles and then you step back in your car 2 hours later and it smells absolutely rancid.
Yeah, or when you work at a slaughterhouse.
One time after a show, I was quite hammered, and I went to the local Wendy's.
The local Wendy's.
2 minutes before
Strolled on
closing,
down.
and I
Thank
feel
God it
like
was
a
local.
dick now. I ordered 8 cheesy cheddar burgers and 8 JBCs.
Hell yeah, dude.
And they made it. They delivered, and I had a fantastic night with the rest of the band.
I don't judge you at all. This one time I got extremely stoned. Wanted
did?
Wendy's. Yes, I
Bullshit,
did.
dude.
Wanted Wendy's. A buddy of mine drove me there, and I think it was like one of the first times I had worked like a shitload of overtime in my life, and I got a paycheck that was just fucking massive, and I was like, this money's burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
So I bought like 4 Baconators and like 6 junior bacon cheeseburgers.
Holy.
And we're driving home, and I was like trying to hand other drivers like burgers. I'm like, yeah, looks like you're having a shitty day. Take this JBC. And
What?
nobody took a burger. For
Yeah,
me.
I don't blame them.
I was recording an album one time, and we started first thing in the morning. So I was like, okay, the nice thing to do would to be bring breakfast for everybody in the band. So I went to McDonald's on the way, and I got a bag of like 20 breakfast sausages and
Just the sausages.
well, no, like the mix.
That sounds like a
mixed
greasy
sandwich,
bag.
the mixed
Yeah.
muffin or whatever with the sausage. And I get there, and I'm just like, "Hey guys, I brought breakfast," and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not hungry, man. Thanks though."
Oh
So
my
it's
god!
like I'm the asshole standing here with a bag of 20 sausage McMuffins, and I'm like,
So you had to lower the
Yeah.
number.
Guess I'll eat them
I'm
all.
just like, okay,
yeah.
I guess.
So
I'm
how did
gonna
this
eat,
story end?
15 sausage McMuffins left in the bag, and then they
Damn.
ordered pizza later. Like, come on.
At what point, like, how many did you eat and it started tasting fucked up? Because that always happens with McDonald's. Like, I
Yeah.
eat like too much, and I'm like,
Oh,
this isn't natural.
I can
Like,
taste
yeah,
the plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like as if some sort of wizard put like a mirage over top of the flavors, but it only lasts for like 15 or 20 minutes,
Yeah.
and then you just like take this final bite, and you're like, what
I
the
hate
fuck
myself.
is
What am I
this?
doing with my life? Yeah.
I think the worst bar food for when you're gigging is when you go and you get the burger that tastes like a hot dog. Because it's happened multiple times to us, to different members, and every time you just get the burger and you take one bite and you're like, there's just something wrong.
I have a horrifying story.
You do?
Do you guys know that place, Angel's Diner?
Yes.
Do you guys
Shout out
like
to Angel's.
Diner?
The one-
I'm about
which
to
one?
Shit talk.
I've
Which one?
had good experiences, man.
I had
Yeah.
one bad experience, and I just called it there.
Which?
It was the one that was on Highland.
There's a difference. There's Angel's Diner and then there's Angel's Family Restaurant, and they're two
What's the one that was on
diner.
Highland?
Angel's Diner, and that
Okay.
place
It's gone, isn't
is
it?
gone. It's actually a Dollarama now.
I think that went out of business too.
Because what they
Dollarama?
did to
Yeah.
you.
What?
Okay.
How can a Dollarama go out of
Are you
business?
sure it was a Dollarama? I think it was just a dollar store, wasn't it?
No, there was one beside that was like
So there was
it
two
was one of
dollar
those like
stores beside each
Dollarama.
other?
Yeah, it was like one of those Dollarama offshoots, like loaded dollar
Dollar
or dollar
Tree.
or more.
Looney
like,
Lizard.
Looney. Oh wow, Looney Lizard. Man, I forgot about that.
Shout out to Looney Lizard.
Now you're making me feel old.
You are.
Remember that? Do you guys remember like the Urban Fisher Hallman Plaza with the Zares,
yeah.
the KFC?
okay, yeah, yeah.
Remember
Nobody
that little
hung out
like?
there.
That remember like in the little nook there was like a Looney Lizard.
Oh, I
and you
know
would go
Looney
in there.
Lizard.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
And you went in there and it's like only the name was kind of like attracting when you were a kid, and when you always went in there,
Dude,
you're
it's
like,
claustrophobic
this
as
place
fuck
sucks.
in
Do not
there.
sell reptiles.
Where are my army men?
I used to go in there, and they would have like these mixed like grab bag kind of things, and they would just be in a brown bag, and they would staple it shut, and there was just like random shit inside of it. Like it was just a mystery bag.
Oh,
what's it gonna
right.
be? Is
I
it
remember
candy? Is
that.
it toys?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it a Z's?
It was always like candy and toys like mixed up, but it was just like random stock that like probably got ripped out of its packaging, and then they would just throw it in these bags and sell it.
exactly what it is.
I remember going to like I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was like a Goodwill type of thing, and they had these bags. I went there as a kid with like $4, and I was told I had to get something from there because that's what I was told. And the bag,
You're gonna go in that Goodwill, and you're gonna spend $4.
Drummer listening to what he's told.
Look at that. And in the bag was a plastic fire truck, a plastic nut, like to go on a bolt. No bolt though.
No bowl, just
One
a nut.
headphone. And
Or like a broken off
and a
like,
Lego
earbud?
brick. You know, like just no, like one headphone and a Lego brick.
What the
What did
fuck?
you end up using out of the bag?
The fire truck.
Really? I would have felt cool playing a secret agent, having the one earphone as like a little earpiece,
my
and that would have
God.
been like.
Speaking
I
of
wasn't
secret
that
Take 'em
cool,
out.
man.
Take 'em out.
How many Cody Banks jokes do you get put on you on a yearly basis?
Yeah, pretty much every time I meet somebody new.
Yeah.
I remember being asked why my parents named me after the movie. I was just like, okay, first of all, I was
old do you
fucking
think I
12
am?
when the movie came out.
Yeah.
Like,
Your parents are probably holding you. It's like.
We'll change your name later.
Your name will make a great movie about a child secret agent.
I got a free movie poster.
Nice.
What?
When the movie came out.
Do you like the movie?
We don't talk about it anymore. I have it's at my mom's house. It's a framed like theater-sized movie poster.
Holy shit.
For the movie, and I like had it tucked behind my dresser. When I hit like 18, I was like, this can't be out.
Yeah.
Serious question.
I'm
I feel
bringing
like that's
girls
still
home
pretty
now.
late,
This can't
dude.
be sitting out like.
When you were 12, did you like it?
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah,
happy?
so when I was 12 when that movie came out, I went
famous.
to like the 8:30 a.m. showing.
Where?
Because I
Where
was like-
can you
I was
go
like-
see a movie at
I was just
8:30
like, yo,
a.m.?
like this is gonna be like this is gonna sell out. I need to go early so that I
Yeah.
can get like a good seat. And there was like 20 people.
Were you in line being like, yeah, my name's Cody Banks?
Yeah. Well, so the funny thing is, so I went to the Galaxy at Cambridge Center, and that was my first job in high school. I ended up going there and applying, and they hired me on the basis that my name was a movie. And they're like, "Oh, so you must really like movies." to work at
Oh
the-"
my god.
So then I was there for like the first like 5 years of my working life, and like, yeah, it was an adventure.
Movie theater life.
Yeah.
That changed
Does it
it
ever-
when I was 13.
Does it ever drive you nuts
Yes.
when other humans say things like that and you're like, why are you so stupid?
What are you talking about?
You must love movies.
Oh,
Your
okay,
name,
yeah.
your name is in a movie.
There's like a
what are you
certain-
talking
there's
about?
a
What kind of
certain point
human
where
are you?
have-
Why are you saying
have-
this?
I started basically just denouncing that the movie even exists. Like people will be like, "Oh, you seen the movie, right?" And I was like, "What movie? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
And people are like, "Surely you've seen it." I was like, "I have no fucking clue." They're like, "It got a sequel." I was like, "Again, I don't know." Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
How many times do I got to say I don't know?
Yeah.
So you said you got sent a poster?
So my parents called the movie theater and they're like, "Oh, my son's name is Cody Banks. I could show you his birth certificate."
No.
Oh,
There was my mom sent a fucking article into the Cambridge Times and everything. And
Holy shit.
How do you think I feel? I'm in 6th grade.
What's the
You
article?
feel like the fucking man.
I'm in 6th grade. I'm going through puberty. I'm like looking at chicks for the first time, really, and like,
I'm
and
an
they're looking at
agent.
you as
and they're just
breaking
like,
news.
and there's this article in the newspaper that says, "An agent lives in our town."
No.
Oh,
Jesus,
dude.
My son is the real Cody Banks, and
No.
he likes Beyblades and Yu-Gi-Oh. And
Oh my
I was
god.
like, "Thanks, mom. You just cock-blocked me all the way till graduation."
But also, if anyone wants to duel in some Beyblade or some Yu-Gi-Oh,
Do you still
that
have
was,
the
that was a
article?
warning
Holy
to
shit.
everybody that wanted to challenge me.
That's
licensed
fantastic.
to kill.
Yeah.
Is the article at your house?
I think it's still on my mom's
Moms
fridge.
keep
yeah.
everything,
Nice.
Fuck.
dude.
Yeah,
I want to see that
It's
article.
there. I'll try and get a scan of that and send
Yes,
it to you.
Fuck
Please.
yeah. That's so funny.
Put it in the archives.
man.
But yeah, so even
Holy
like
shit.
recently when I did my orientation, the receptionist asked me about it, and like people see it on my helmet at work, on my safety helmet, and I'm just like, they're like, "Oh, Agent Cody Banks," and I was like, "Retired."
It's so
I get-
sad that you even have to say that.
I get very sullen
know,
with
right?
them, and I'm just like, it creates a lot of problems in somebody's emotional life when they think back on all the killing they were forced to do for the government. And, like,
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
You guys ever see that video with Macaulay Culkin? Where
Yes,
he's like a taxi driver and he's like talking about Home Alone as if it actually happened and how it's like such a traumatizing
Yeah.
experience. Holy shit. Have
do
you
know
guys
how
seen
it
it?
feels
Never
to get
seen
left
it.
at home?
Evan, you want to search
Not
that
once,
up?
but twice.
How-
Isn't that guy in like a pizza
Yeah, he
themed
is.
band
Yeah.
now?
And they got
What?
booed off stage.
Yeah, and he runs his own website.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like The Onion, except
Macaulay?
MAC, and then figure it out from there.
AULY.
Did his parents hate him? Like, what type of name
There
is
it
that?
yeah, I don't know, man.
Do
Let's
you know what
see
the name of the
comes up
video's
here.
called?
Just search up like
Hope.
taxi driver after it or something like that,
Yeah,
or
there
Uber
you go.
driver.
Do you guys say taxi or cab?
What the? I say
That's
It's
tax.
like
the
saying
one.
it's like saying
Yeah,
it's like
I
saying do you
think-
guys
I
say
think it's
soda
that
or
one, yeah.
pop?
Depends on the day.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Taxi or cab?
Yeah, do you say taxi or cab?
I feel like it's interchangeable.
What about
I
taxi cab? Like, are we discriminating
that's too
against
American,
that
man.
now?
Why not just
Pretty
Uber?
sure it's pronounced Uber now. Yeah.
How
Oh,
long's the
right.
video, Evan?
All right, we don't need to watch this whole fucking thing. I think we'll get it pretty quickly.
His car, and I'm Anna's husband. But
Oh,
my
he
wife,
looks good,
my
huh?
fucking wife, whose fucking job this is, decided that she did too much.
Couple
blow
years
last
old,
week.
yeah.
Looks
He's
like
getting
he should be in
healthier
Tame
now.
So she gets her.
He is?
That's true.
To do her job for her. You know, not that I don't.
Yeah,
shit
so
to
his
do.
his website that he runs
you wanna
now,
go?
I guess it says it's a
you say
hybrid
you don't know how to
between
drive?
No, no,
Gwyneth Paltrow's Goop
I could
and
drive
The
if you want.
Onion.
The goop. That's like the eggs you put in your vagina.
Yes.
Or whatever. Yes.
Yes.
Interesting. Gwyneth Paltrow. That's a whole other.
Well, that was exciting.
Sweet.
Want to do the musical thing?
Oh yeah, shit. We strayed from the path. Okay, so we like to ask our guests where you guys began in your musical listening life, where you came to a middle point, kind of where the game got changed up,
An
maybe
edgy turn, high
Yeah.
schoolish kind of thing.
Yeah.
and then where you guys are at now.
Start with
Drummer.
you.
Well, as I said before, I was a stark metalhead for a while. My first show was Lamb of God, Children of Bodom.
Yo!
God
I was at
Forbid,
that
and
same-
As LA
oh.
Dying.
Yes,
Was that?
yes, that's the
Okay.
one.
Municipal Waste Open.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Fantastic show.
That's fucking
Terrifying
crazy.
show
Wait, were you all
to
at the same
see.
show?
Yes.
Oh, I keep
People
finding
jumping
more-
off the second row. to
Yo,
get
my
into
friend
the
did
pit
that. I
for
tried it and I
Black
got
Label.
fucking body slammed by a guard.
Really? Like I was
And then I
only
just
like
walked back to my
13
seat,
at
I'm
the
just like, oh,
time,
fuck.
Yeah,
too,
yeah, I was pretty
so-
young, so I went with a guy that was like he was 13 as well, but he was like one of those bigger 13-year-olds. Like somehow he hit like 6 feet
Yeah.
already. He's got a
Yeah.
beard. And he's fucking nice and husky.
Big swinging dick.
Yeah, and
you
he's
know,
like, "Yo, I'm gonna go fucking jump in there. You want to go?" And I'm like 4 feet tall, squeaky voice. I'm like, "No, I'm good." And my buddy's dad gave me a sip of his beer, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll go.
Yeah,
I'll
you're
get
a
in
man
there."
now. Yeah.
I didn't fucking go in. Fuck that.
Jeez, come on.
Wow, that was very underwhelming.
What did you want me to say? I did see a guy in a wheelchair in there that
Yeah.
sort of got like stuck in the pit,
Uh,
and he
Mhm.
like wasn't able to like roll back out. Felt kind of bad for him.
did
He's,
they
like,
just
stranded
erect
out.
him
hope
up
he
into
was-
a crowd surf like usual?
Yeah.
I don't
I've
remember.
I've seen it.
But yeah, I have seen that as well.
The wheelchair, crowd surf.
Yeah.
It's a classic. It's a classic amongst the YouTube free fall. Like I feel like I clicked it once in like a, guy in a wheelchair does a crazy mosh pit, and then it's just YouTube
Hundreds?
related video, and it's like compilation. I'm like, there's a compilation.
Yeah.
Compilation
Those are
number
like-
5.
Those are like concert plants. The bands are like, "Yo, we need to look much better,
Yeah.
so let's get a guy."
Yeah, I was
like,
just gonna
in
say
a
it's probably
wheelchair."
all just like the
Yeah.
same
But
guy.
he's
just
not
a
even-
higher-
It's the same guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't even need to be in a wheelchair. They just like, yeah, we got this thing.
Crisis
backstage.
Crisis actor. Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's terrible.
All right, well that's a good starting point. Why do you guys look at me like that?
But yeah,
I don't know.
I played
I don't
bass
fucking know.
in a hardcore band for a while, and then like I said, I played bassoon pretty heavily for a while,
Why
which
haven't you
is
cracked that out for us yet?
you know what? You get me one. You have an extra 10 grand lying around.
Yeah.
I'll play it for you, but
Really, bassoons
So
are
you
that?
decided?
plastic bassoon is $10,000.
What?
It's not right.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's
It's
worth
not
it.
right. There's like 14 keys for your left thumb alone, I swear.
So you decided to play this instrument.
So I played the tenor sax for a little bit, and then a little bit, and then I found out the teacher was
You're
a
like,
bassoon
"Hell."
player, and I was like, well, you know what? If she's a bassoon player, why don't I? Like nobody else wants to do it. I have my own part. I don't gotta worry about being with anyone else. She can teach me, and. There I went, and you know what? It actually turned out to be really cool because that instrument plays in a bunch of different keys. Like most of the time you're in bass clef, but like you play in alto, you play in like standard treble clef, like so you have to learn how to read a lot. But then I joined jazz band on bass, and then I sat behind the kit one day, and that's just when it clicked, and I ended up playing drums for a while, and like another hardcore band that never really went anywhere. And then I went to college and I stopped playing music pretty much. And that's when I started to get into funk.
Hear that, kids? Don't go to college.
You'll get into funk if you go to college.
My roommate actually listened to this sweet band called After Funk from Hamilton, and they've gotten really successful now, but their stuff was just so like groovy and innovative at the time. They had a huge band, and that's what got me into like anything that has a nice groove to it. And I've always played guitar with it as well, but I kind of dropped that aside and started practicing on a pad. And then when I moved to Kitchener, I went on to Kijiji, just trying to find something to do, and I joined the Controversial Sharks.
Oh, cool.
And I played with them for a couple of years, and I actually met these guys at a Harmony show where so we're like an experimental rock band, and we got put on a bill with a ska band, another ska band, and a punk band. So seems to be how it goes. And I got drunk enough to just say the right things to Cody. I didn't remember the conversation
he's like,
at all.
I've always wanted to play in a band with a horn section. And I was like, we needed a drummer. Our lead guitarist was playing drums for us at that point, so we needed a drummer.
And that's kind of where I switched.
It's a weird
that.
pickup line.
Yeah. Are you a horn band?
How horny are you guys?
Pretty horny.
And now I actually listen to like quite a bit of ska. Like my whole playlist at work is just ska and funk, and then there's like a little bit of indie rock, like when I'm feeling chill.
So are you off the metal?
I have a soft spot for it, but if anything, I like gent.
Okay, yeah.
That's like gent and like instrumental metal. I'm not so keen on the gutturals anymore.
Yeah, fair enough.
You know,
fair
I
enough.
listen to like All Shall Perish and like a lot of death metal bands.
You want some gent? There's an 8-string guitar.
Got a few over there.
I wouldn't know what to do with it. I just slap my thumb on it and hope something happens.
The tuning I have is like super simple on there because I just have it to be approachable as like a 6-string player, so it's just tuned from the bottom to the lowest to the highest, like E A D G B E.
Okay, yeah.
So it's pretty much anything you would play on like a standard 6-string on the low notes. You can just like duplicate the same patterns. Yeah, and it's kind of got that bass range, so it's like super approachable.
But the E is very floppy.
Yeah, it's like I'm still trying to figure out what I can do with like tension, because with like low tunings, like there's this battle between like not having too low tension but also having a decently high action.
Just fan your frets more, man.
Just fan them out. Yeah, I'll just get a new neck.
Just put a stretcher on there and you're good to go.
God.
You can buy new necks.
Oh yeah, you can buy new necks. I've seen there's this company, I don't know if you know about them, they're called Strandberg, and they make these guitars that are like totally ergonomic. They're headless, and like the bottom is like carved out, so like the bridge is at the end. And the back of the neck, usually a neck is kind of like a C shape, right? But the back of the neck has, well, you can get it as an option when you get it built for yourself, that when you're holding it at the first fret, usually your thumb is kind of like lower. So the neck flattens at the bottom, but the flatness like goes upwards.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
if you're looking at the neck like this, the flatness goes from the bottom and it kind of travels up to the top. So when you go to the high notes, like your thumb's always flat up against the neck. So it's totally ergonomic, and I love Strandbergs. I wish I could.
That's another reason why I got into music so much, is because I had like an interest in woodworking, and when I was in grade 9, I asked my dad, like, can we build a guitar? I just want to try. And we ended up building one, and it turned out like garbage. I had to throw it out. I made it out of one piece of wood, and it just warped like a half inch off the table in the middle, so that's no good. And then I ended up doing it a couple more times, and I finally got it, and I had the recordings that we have, I actually have my own kit that I built out of mahogany on there. So I think that's another reason why it sounds so good. It's solid wood all the way down.
What?
Your own kit that you made? My final project for college was a solid mahogany kit. So
it's a beautiful kit.
Can we come see it?
Yeah, man.
That sounds awesome.
How do you make the shells?
So you make like a barrel,
Uh-huh.
like a 20. I think it's an icosahedron, a 20-sided octagon, basically.
Okay.
And then I made a jig for a router that has templates of the final size, bolts running through it to clamp onto the shell. That sits on top of ball bearings in like 2 plates of MDF, and then there's angle iron that goes on top of it, angle iron that goes through the middle of the shell, and a router sits on that. You spin the shell on the ball bearings and move the router over, and then do the same thing on the inside. And then I had to jig up an old conveyor belt to cut it on the table saw, so I had like the blade in between the 2 steel conveyors and was just like holding it and rolling it on the conveyor to cut the ends off. And
you just gave so many dads a huge boner. I never thought we'd run a show where we could go from engineering, recording to woodworking.
To
Shrek videos.
Do you guys believe in Shrek?
So you guys have a pretty dope opportunity. Oh wait, fuck. We're still going through the music.
Yeah, we haven't even gone through.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good morning.
I'm sorry. You guys run the show. I'll just turn
Christian.
my mic away.
Take it away.
No, but that's like super cool how, you know, you guys are this like well-oiled machine of like different trades that can like apply to music. You got some like audio engineering, you got some like PR stuff, I guess you could say. Manager kind of like duties, and then like, you know, you're like an excellent craftsman, it seems like. So it just seems like everything works out. It's like if you guys ever need anything, you guys
somebody can give it.
Somebody can give it. And then and then with the like different influences that you guys have, it like shows that diversity in the music.
And
as
the
well,
other 3 could probably fix your car. So
Perfect.
Have you guys done any like extensive rides like out from hometown where you would need the mechanics experience?
I can't speak for everybody in the band, but I really want to.
Yeah,
I really want to
hit the road.
It's just it's a tough thing. Like I said, I've got a baby at home, and our bassist has 2 kids of his own. So like, and just like with everybody's working full time and trying to pay their bills, it's just finding that right time for us to
coordination is key.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just started a new job, and so I used to have like 3 weeks vacation a year, and I don't have that now.
Yeah, now you gotta build it back up.
Yeah, exactly.
So, well, props to you for like, you know, being able to run a family and you know, hold the band down, because that's hard. Like a lot of people, that's like the defining moment, you know.
I know,
like,
absolutely, and it is tough. Like I think we've only played like maximum 3 hours out of town.
Okay.
When we played like Chatham, and even then, like, I'm on the road and I'm just like, I feel like I should be home with my family right now. And it's a good time. So it's been nice that, and I even said to my fiance after our run of shows a couple weeks back, I said, just be thankful like this was a run of shows where I was able to come home every night, because if like we were doing what I wish we could do, like I'd probably be gone for at least a week.
Have you guys had that conversation? Like if you're going to head out, like how you're going to work that?
We had conversation like that before our daughter came along.
Probably the best time to have it.
Yeah, before our daughter came along. But back then it was kind of like, oh, if you guys are going on the road for 2 weeks, like I'm coming with you and I'll just run the merch table or
right.
And now it's like, well, you better be playing some all ages shows so that the baby can come with us as well and help run the merch table. You guys will sell a lot more. Right?
We're gonna need to see some ID on that baby.
So it's definitely a balancing act, and like I said, it's something that I would love to be able to do.
Sure.
It's just all about timing and planning, and we had a pretty like busy year last year for a band that was really just starting to get into it. And this year, I think we've taken a bit more of a lax approach, which has kind of been nice for everybody in their personal lives. But we'll get there. I think we'll get there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. You guys are on a sweet trajectory. I mean, playing with the Slackers, and then you guys are getting the opportunity to open for Ill Scarlet in June.
Thank you, Wappler.
Yeah.
Is that as crazy for you guys as it is for us to think about?
The craziest was we were supposed to open for Smash Mouth last year.
But they never showed up.
Yeah, we were gonna play for Smash Mouth at Oktoberfest, and then literally the night before the show, we had sold probably $800 worth of tickets for this show.
Damn.
And then the night before the show, I get a phone call at like 8 p.m. And they're like, "Hey, just so you know, Smash Mouth isn't coming anymore, and you guys aren't playing."
What?
So it's the night.
the
It's literally the
actual-
night before the show. And,
You guys aren't getting your money.
And I'm just like, so we have to like run around and refund like $800 worth of tickets to people.
Holy
now.
shit.
How much were the tickets? Like, how many
I
tickets
think
is
they
that?
were what 25
25.
a person.
That's a
something
lot
like
of
that.
tickets.
30 a person even. I don't remember.
Yeah, something
But-
like that. I can't remember.
So that was
Yeah.
that was like that was kind of like a memeable thing. We're just like, holy shit, like we're opening for Smash Mouth, which
Yeah.
and a lot of people don't realize
We
but
relate
they
to
started
Shrek.
off- Smash Mouth started off with like a huge background in ska punk. Like
Yeah.
their first album was like heavy with
Really?
ska punk tracks on it.
Wow.
So like it was kind of cool to be like, hey, we get to play with Smash Mouth, even though
Yeah.
everyone knows them for Shrek and All Star.
Yeah,
but yeah, so
Dude,
that,
Walking on the Sun is an amazing
Yeah.
track.
it's a good track. And
Yeah.
that was actually on their first album.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think that it came out later after
No,
All-Star.
you can tell by the keys they
Yeah.
shred on the tracks.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Dan. No, what was the guitar? The keys. Yeah, that's the keys.
it's a good track.
Yeah.
I still
Yeah.
listen
Super
to it
good.
to this day for sure. But,
Well, that sucks.
yeah.
Fuck. You guys were at like pinnacle hype, I assume, and then it all just comes
Yeah.
crashing down.
Yeah, exactly.
Bummer.
So what about the middle point in your musical endeavors? Where
Middle
did you start to
point?
get edgy? I'm assuming it's with the metal and
Well,
hard.
Went from so I listened to like a lot of old school
funk
metal, Iron
transition,
Maiden,
wasn't
Yeah, it
all
was the
that
funk
type of
transition,
stuff.
right?
Yeah, and then basically once I got into college, I listened to all the funk, and then the funk got me into like prog and prog jazz and jazz fusion and all that type of crap. And I got lost in that for a while, and then I realized how damn technical it was, and that like only the people who are really into that enjoy it. And I stopped trying to like play that type of music, and found that like poppier approach kind of like if you can hide the really cool stuff and you know it's there and people who are listening know it's there, but you can make it appeal to people, that's where I kind of
Yeah.
got off on it, where you just make it groove, and no matter who you are you can feel that groove. That's when I kind of transitioned, and now like I have a healthy blend of like punk, ska, reggae, funk, and then I listen to like a little bit of electronic music too, not like
Cool.
dance stuff, but more like ambient,
Yeah, for sure. Cool.
that type of stuff.
Like retrowave stuff, or like talking
Um,
about like Telephone, Tel Aviv kind of.
Yeah, and like a
Witchy
lot of
stuff.
Deadmau5, like the new stuff is really cool too.
Yeah. Did you
A
see that
little
thing
bit
that
of
he
drum
was-
and bass too.
Drum and bass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the thing Deadmau5 did with the with like the orchestra?
No, I
think
haven't
it's called
seen
like
that.
I don't know if it was an album or like a video session or something, but it's called "Where's the Drop" because I don't think there is one because it's just
Okay,
like an
sure.
orchestra. And yeah, he just like composed the entire thing. Got this huge multi-piece orchestra. Do you know how many?
No
people
idea
it
what
was?
the fuck
No.
you're even talking
No,
about.
really? Yeah, he put on this whole orchestra thing and he made this album, and it was really
Oh,
good.
actually, no. Yeah, I remember seeing.
It's like a few months ago, less than a
Yeah.
year ago. or
Another
something like that.
genre that's really intrigued me lately is bluegrass.
Oh,
Which like in my Spotify playlist, it'll just be like hardcore funk for 10 songs, and then they're like, we're gonna give you a Pharrell Williams cover in bluegrass, and you just listen to it, and they're just shredding the entire time. Like they're some of the best musicians, and they just have this feel about them. I can't do all of it. When it gets really country bluegrass, I start to not be into it.
Yeah, it's hard to
But-
get into bluegrass, but I think the thing to appreciate, I think both coming from like a metal, harder like
Yeah.
kind of style of backgrounds and listening to music, is that with something like bluegrass, it's like you can really appreciate the technicality because it's like super technical and fast, and they're all like syncopating
But they
all their
still
instruments.
get crowd interaction.
Yeah.
I think that's the best part. Like, there's always people clapping along in the background
Yeah.
and hooting and hollering and all that. Just like you can picture the bar.
Yeah,
that they're
it's like
playing
high
it in.
energy, but like in a
Yeah.
vibe kind of sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. So you like, I guess where you're at now with your musical taste is just kind of a sum of everything in the past, and it's just
I think
all
groove
shared
is the
evenly.
most important. If it makes you bop your head, if it makes you want to move, that's the ticket.
Cool. So what about you? Where'd you
um,
start off?
I
It
guess
can also be cringy, by the way.
Yeah, what's your first
yeah.
musical memory?
Because
Like,
Christian's is Aaron Carter and mine is Shakira.
Nice.
I was an Aaron Carter dude. Too.
Yes,
Yeah,
represent,
I think
dude.
my first
Fuck
album
you.
was-
Fuck you
was a
guys.
Backstreet Boys album.
Backstreet Boys?
Probably. Yeah.
How'd you get into it? Was it like watching it through TV, or was it like a sibling or something that had it?
I was probably watching music videos when I was a kid, like whatever, and that's like what was popular. I
Did
guess.
you ever catch them live?
No.
I went to see fake Backstreet Boys and fake
No, you
Spice
didn't.
Girls perform together, and I didn't find out until years and years later that it was just an imposter group, and I was devastated.
How big was the venue?
It was huge, dude. I was like really young, but it was like I was probably like the Rogers Center or some shit.
Were they
And
singing the songs, or
Yeah.
was it like?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's money in tribute acts.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, it was
Was the band still together at that point?
Yeah. It was just like, I don't know. It was super bizarre.
What a market.
Yeah.
It's like we'll be a cover band of a boy band.
Yeah.
Remember air bands in
my
elementary
God.
school? Remember air bands?
What's,
It was like
what's an air band?
They would. It was kind of like
We
a.
play like air guitar.
No.
It was
air
kind of like
instruments.
it was kind of like a way for, I guess, teachers to get like kids to creatively like work in a group together, like as opposed to like just doing like homework together in a group. It's like, oh, let's do like this activity, and you'd pick a song that was already made, and then you would just like lip sync and dance it in front of your class. It was the worst
There was
thing
a
ever.
chick in my class who did "I Kissed a Girl" by Katy Perry, and that shit got shut down so fast, so fast.
Yeah, it was a very strange thing to encourage, but at the same time, it was good to like build some confidence.
What
in, like,
school was that?
A Catholic one. I don't know if that applies.
I
the same
remember
to you
seeing
guys, but for me,
people
it was...
entering air bands into like the talent show, and they would just play like some treble charger and like jump around on stage and like
Shout out to
pretend-
Treble Charger.
They get like a guy with a fisheye lens just in the center, and they're like just going in the center.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sorry
what
to derail that.
Yeah.
No worries. Yeah. And then I guess I was just kind of into like whatever was popular. When I was around 13, I started learning how to play guitar, so then I started to pay attention a bit more like guitar music, but it was all pretty much whatever music videos were playing on TV for me.
Okay, so that's how you like soaked in your music was just
Yeah,
TV,
I mean-
no radio, or like friends giving you CDs or anything.
A little bit. When I got to high school, things kind of changed a bit. I mean, my parents all listened to some good music, and that kind of came back around later on for me. But then I got to high school, and I was listening to like Sum 41 and Foo Fighters and whatever was popular. Like, I still like that stuff. But then I started meeting people with like different musical tastes, and I started going to concerts. I started getting into the scene here, and the scene here was all like hardcore back then, which I wasn't that into. I kind of got into emo though, which was big back then.
Yeah.
And
Like what kind of bands?
like Jimmy Eat World, I was huge
Jimmy Eat
into
World?
Jimmy Eat
Okay.
World, like The Used, and
Hey.
I still listen to MCR.
Yeah.
I don't even care. MCR is fucking sick. I don't even care.
Certain album.
Which
or-
album
yeah.
though?
Or is it like just the whole
Three
spread?
Cheers is like
Yeah.
front to
I
back.
thought you were gonna say the Black Parade.
Black Parade.
We might have
I don't know about that one.
Black
man.
Parade as a song though is a complete banger.
Yeah.
It
is.
Once it gets past like the kind of cringy intro, like that song is so good.
Even that though, like even with it being kind of a cringy intro, it's like
Yeah.
they like whenever someone puts that on,
Yeah,
why
you
does
know it.
90% of the room know the words
you
and
know
they
it.
sing it? Why?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Would 90% of
'Cause it's
this room
pop,
be able to
dude.
sing it?
It's emo
When
pop.
I was. Never mind. No one's gonna do it. Yeah, there we go.
Their
I
music
know you all
videos
want to
were
do it. I
rad,
know you
too.
all want to do it. Don't lie to me.
Their music videos were rad too.
Yeah. Well, they had wasn't Gerard like an animator, or he was like a
Yeah, he was a cartoonist
wasn't-
for a bit, and then
yeah.
I think he's got a cartoon.
He wrote
doesn't he?
the Umbrella Academy
Yeah,
comic,
right.
which
Oh,
is now
yeah,
the
that's
Netflix
right.
series.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Really?
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I wonder
Damn.
if he still has if he's still.
I think he's got like
visionary
a
behind
creative
it.
hand in it some way, if it's not a producer or whatnot. But yeah,
Cool.
so
Yeah. So where you at now?
Yeah. Well, I started going to I went to see I saw The Who, I saw Neil Young,
Jeez.
I saw Elton John, and I was like, oh, this is what real music
Yeah, that's how you write a
is.
song. Like holy shit.
Yeah. And I started getting into music, and this is kind of the phase I'm still in now. I started listening to other stuff too. Like I'm really into like you mentioned Coheed and Cambria, Porcupine Tree,
Nice.
like stuff like that. Again,
Attack in Black.
yeah, Attack in Black.
Oh.
Cody and I share a love of that band. Like I'm in the Bare Naked Ladies, which my
Okay.
mom really liked,
Fantastic.
and I kind of came back around.
Did you see them at Maxwell's?
Is it the same since
Unbelievable.
Stephen Page
Yeah.
left?
I have no fucking idea.
No, hell no, it's not. No.
Yeah. But yeah, and I guess before I was kind of like interested in playing guitar and music and whatever, just like what, you know, with to be a part of whatever was cool. But then like I saw some really good artists and
Kind of got the gears
concert,
turning.
and,
Yeah.
and like now most of the stuff I listen to is just older stuff, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So do you translate a lot of the older like concepts of like songwriting and stuff, and you try to bring them into what you guys do? Like sometimes, because I know you're handling more of the
Yeah.
engineering side of things.
Somewhat,
but-
and just like an approach to music that is like, you know, where I don't want to say like it has more substance than music today, but it's like the feel and like it's
What's the verse to Frizzle? Because I feel like that sums up a lot of it.
yeah, it's like one of the songs we play that I wrote is inspired by the Magic School Bus, and like Miss Frizzle, how she always says like, take a chance, make mistakes, learn
Get
a lot,
messy.
get messy,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, and that's kind of one of like my approaches to music, anyways, and. As far as what I'm interested in listening to, it's kind of what Nick said at this point is kind of an amalgamation of everything I've been into in the past, but like I don't really pay attention to music these days. What's on the radio? Like I don't.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up, even
Yeah,
even if
and,
you're
like,
not.
I don't
just
have
being
Spotify or any of these services or whatever. Like I still buy albums.
Oh,
I
nice.
still listen to the radio. Like that is important to me. I find a lot of the music that I really like these days. Like I'm really into the Eagles.
Nice.
Yeah.
Toto.
Toto. Yeah.
Yeah.
Toto fucking
I'm not-
rules, dude.
All right,
Rosanna.
settle down,
Yeah.
I'm all
settle
about
down.
Rosanna.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Like
That shuffle in Rosanna.
Yeah,
Like,
so good.
Fucking guy.
yeah, like stuff from the 70s and 80s, like, you know, a lot of stuff that has kind of a lot of people have think is like really cheesy, but like yeah, like I like the Eagles, I like Rush, you know, like
It doesn't go out of
that's-
style.
yeah.
It doesn't. I don't even care. It doesn't.
So I guess the sum of everything where you're at now with listening is like you kind of went a little bit forward and kind of kept up a little bit, and then you kind of
Yeah.
realize like there's some purity in the past, and then
Mhm.
you kind of just like reel it back in, and now that's kind of
Yeah.
where you're at. Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, batter up.
All right. So my dad is a musician.
Oh, cool.
So he always kind of raised us on music. Like he'd always be playing acoustic guitar on the couch and stuff like that. So like I was raised on first and foremost Billy Joel, who
Oh,
I still
nice.
listen to like a shit ton of Billy Joel today. He's just like phenomenal.
Yeah.
Rush, Trooper, Led Zeppelin, Supertramp. Like I was raised on all that stuff. I didn't really like have an interest in music until my early teens. First album I bought with my own money was Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
Nice.
I was like
Classic.
huge. Like, I was like 10 years old, and I was like, I don't know what this is, but I'm so into it.
I was so into
Yeah, Linkin Park.
Speaks to me.
My first concert when I was for my 14th birthday, my friend's stepdad took us to see Sum 41 and Protest the Hero.
Oh,
I
Hell
was there.
yeah,
I was
that's
at
a
that show.
great
It was at the
fucking
Kitchener
first
Odd,
show.
and
Yeah.
like Protest the
Yeah.
Hero, I still listen to them today too. Like just, I I don't know how to process what these guys are playing right now.
Yeah, dude,
so,
they're fucking monsters.
Yeah.
So I listened to Protest, and then I had like a micro like metal phase and stuff when I was like 13 years old, and then
You had a micro metal?
yeah, I grew my hair out. I had like shoulder length hair in 8th grade and stuff. Like
Nice.
my
Wow,
8th
that is
grade,
pretty micro.
Yeah. And then I met like my best friends around that time, and they were all into like punk rock, and they were like showing me like skate punk and like NoFX. They showed me like Blink-182, Ramones, Bad Religion, stuff like that. So I was like, okay, like this is really cool too. And then I shaved my head. And then
Easy there, guy.
my dad sent me my first bass guitar. So that was my first instrument, was bass, because my older brother was the drummer. My dad played guitar, and so he sent me my bass. And so I started learning how to play bass. I joined my first punk band in like 8th grade as like the front man, which was okay. And that's where I met like Chris Walton. We were playing in a punk band together. And then my friends showed me this, and this was not any of us at all, but my friends showed me this Christian ska band called 5 Iron Frenzy. And that was, I had like known ska from playing like Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
What does Christian ska sound like?
It's like, do 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 do, we love God, do, 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 stuff like that.
Sick.
Yeah, but so like I had known ska from like Tony Hawk Pro Skater, like Goldfinger and Less Than
Nice.
Jake, Suicide Machines, all that. And like I had heard that earlier in my life, and I was like, this is cool, but I don't think I'll ever listen to this again. And then 13 years old rolls around, and suddenly I'm listening to this Christian ska band, and that kind of like kickstarted a lot of love for the genre for me. And then I watched the movie Basketball.
Oh,
Matt Stone and Trey Parker.
Never
and
heard of it. Is it any good?
Oh,
it's
so good.
It's yeah,
Really?
like if
So
you
good,
like
yeah.
like the South Park humor,
Yeah.
you would like Basketball.
So how does it translate into like live action though? With like the
They're
great.
They're good.
It
They
works,
got a
yeah,
lot
they're
of
good
like they
actors,
got a
yeah.
lot of on-screen chemistry, and so
Yeah.
there was this music video attached to the DVD for that.
Pretty sure Yasmin Bleeth is in the movie. She plays the love interest.
Yeah.
interesting.
So there's on the DVD, on the bonus features, there's a music video for a cover of "Take on Me" by Real Big Fish.
Hell yeah.
So
Yeah.
I saw that, and I was like, holy shit, like this is really, really cool. So then like my buddy and I did like a deep dive into Real Big Fish, and that was basically, I started listening to ska like almost exclusively throughout high school. I was kind of a dick about it. I was just like, don't show me new bands. I'm listening to ska now. Like, fuck off.
What if it was like, hey,
Yeah.
hear this new ska band? You're
Yeah,
like, no.
I started growing sideburns, wearing Hawaiian T-shirts to school. It was
Nice.
disastrous.
Oh, that's
I
fucking rad.
actually got my first tattoo at 16. I have the Real Big Fish logo on my arm.
Nice.
So then that was pretty much it. Like I listened to ska all throughout high school. Like I quit my punk band to start my first ska band when I was like 16, and we were absolute shit. 'Cause, like,
Nice.
I'm not much of a songwriter, but I was like the bassist and the front man, and I was like, I wrote songs about like spaghetti and stuff. And, like,
Hell yeah. That's
And
I mean, I
relatable.
feel like, because of what ska is, it's so
Yeah,
silly.
it-
or whatever.
it-
Like a
yeah.
Christian ska band is just like any other ska band.
Yeah,
you know?
just
You
the
Yeah,
lyrics
for
are
sure.
slightly.
writing songs about hamburgers and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
your skateboard. Like,
and I went to college for radio broadcasting. I ended up getting on the station there and like doing a ska show on Saturdays. So I was bringing bands in to like interview, and I was trying to like find all like the indie bands from Ontario and stuff and like throw their songs in. I knew the Boss Switch because we had played a couple shows together at that point.
Mhm.
So I had them in for an interview, and somewhere along the line there, they asked me to come on like a weekend tour with them to fill in on bass, which was awesome. And then I moved to Vancouver after graduation, and my first week there, I went and saw this band, Rude City Riot, and I had been listening to them since high school, and I was talking to the guy at their merch booth, and I mentioned I was a bass player, and it turned out the guy at the merch booth was their manager, and he said, hey, like, we're actually looking for a bassist right now. Do you want to come out and jam? So I went and jammed with them, and like they're like, what songs of ours do you know? And I was like, funny thing is, I actually know how to play all of your songs already. And then they took me like on my first tour. We flew from Vancouver to Montreal. We toured Montreal and Ontario, and That was kind
That's
of
fucking
fans'
sick.
dream.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
nuts.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
you
was
guys
I was
did Planet
playing.
Smashers, didn't you?
Yeah, we toured with the Planet Smashers
Damn.
and the Creep Show, and like
Oh yeah. Creep Show.
it was. I was this like
Dude, that's legendary.
I was
Oh,
this
man.
I was
Yeah,
this
that
bright-eyed
reminds me
like
of something else.
22-year-old kid, and I'm in this band with like the oldest member was like a 45-year-old guitarist, and
That's
they're just
wild.
like
Damn.
they called me the kid, and they took me on tour with them. And
That's so cool. Though.
so I kind of learned a little bit about it, and then we got back from tour, and people started having kids and stuff, and the band kind of separated at that point, and then that
Like
was when
45.
that was when I
good run.
That's when I decided to return back to Ontario, and these guys messaged me like a month before I came home, and they're just like, "Hey, like, we need a new bassist in the boss switch," and so
Right on.
I came back and hooked up with these guys, and I've just been with them ever since.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
Cool,
dope
man.
fucking tale, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
So where are you at now? I guess with like your musical.
I still
Listening.
listen to quite a bit of ska, but yeah, I guess it's a lot like these guys. I kind of go back and forth. I pull up stuff that I listened to in the past. Like I said, I still listen to Billy Joel. I still listen to Protest the Hero. A little bit of ska in there every now and then.
Cool. Any new artists you guys have, found recently that have been really tickling your fancy?
Contortionist.
Contortionist.
Contortionist is amazing. Yeah, they're like this metal band that used to be really brutal and like death metal-y and like with like lots of prog synth elements. And they got this new vocalist, and he just like
Language?
and then they just
man.
totally changed their sound, and they went like they just simmered down like their aesthetic, and they're like super pleasing to listen to for a lot of different kinds of ears, I guess, if you want to say. But it's like super approachable now. So yeah, sorry. Anyways, Contortionist is sick though, but
I've been really big into this band called My Son the Hurricane. They're
heard
from-
of them. They played here not too long ago.
Yeah, they played Maxwell's last
Yeah.
month. But they're from St. Catharines, and they've been around forever, and like
Isn't that a huge band?
they're like a 12-piece band.
Yeah,
They have
that's
like
what
an
I thought.
8-piece horn section, and
Yeah.
like
holy fuck.
they've just been selling out touring nonstop and selling out every single city they play in. Like they're this cool blend of like hip hop meets funk meets ska meets like
I'll have to check it out. I feel like
Yeah.
I've heard their name
they have-
mentioned so many times now that it's teetered over the edge.
they have
where I
two
can't ignore it
vocalists. They
anymore.
got this guy that like raps, and then they got this girl that gives like the melodic female vocal. And
Cool.
it's just like it's very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Anything?
He's on the oldies.
Just kicking
man.
it old school.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Nothing wrong
the
with that.
newest,
Any new
I guess
old
Yeah.
the
bands you've come
newest-
across?
The newest band I've been listening to, I guess, is a band that Nick introduced me to. I guess a couple of bands, because I'm jamming. We're jamming in a funk project right now, and I don't have a huge funk background. So I've been listening to, on his suggestion, Wolfpack.
Nice.
and
Yes,
Snarky
dude.
Puppy.
Yes.
Snarky
Snarky
Puppy
is
is
so good.
insane.
Yeah,
That
they're
band.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just
Like
the,
any live video you watch,
Yeah.
you're just
the sheer amount of musical talent.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's.
Why can't
unreal,
every
man.
show be on a pair of ATM H50s, man? Like, it would be so good.
I watched like this little short on this promoter who's like trying to do silent shows basically where everybody gets like super hi-fi like
Everyone's
over-ear
isolated
monitors
and-
and they just listen to the band that way and they like dance around and do their
No
thing.
amplification.
Yeah,
like,
it's such an odd
Interesting.
concept.
you like take your headphones off and everyone's just silently like
yeah.
I feel like
The
if you
band-
You
had
just
like
hear
one of
people
those
breathing
bass
loudly.
maybe.
or
Oh,
like
yeah,
singing
the
off
body
key.
Yeah,
pad.
so you can still feel the bass,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
like that it would sound so much better. So
Give
much better
everyone
for
one of
your
those
ears.
Soundbrenner arm.
Yeah.
metronomes.
So
Well,
fucking
cool,
weird.
dudes. Do you have anything you'd like to point to the audience towards? Any music news, Instagram,
Anything coming up?
Bandcamps?
Yeah, just if you can spell our name, theoretically Nameless Band. We're on every major streaming platform right now. We got 8 songs available on those platforms, and
Just keep watching. There'll be some more.
Yeah,
soon.
there'll
yeah,
be
we
more
got
soon.
a
Cool.
couple songs. Hopefully, some more shows to promote soon. We're playing St. Jacobs this Thursday at Block
No.
3 Brewing.
Really?
Yeah.
2-hour set.
Yeah.
What?
Holy
St.
shit.
Jacobs.
So we'll be playing a bunch of covers, some ska punk, some other stuff.
A little bit of
Some Billy Joel.
Billy Joel.
Yeah.
A little bit of cake in there.
Oh.
Good
Yeah.
stuff, yeah. So
Cool.
I arranged a cover of just the two of us.
nice. So just,
Damn.
yeah,
That's awesome.
support your local music
Yeah.
scene.
Drink
And
some
yeah,
sweet
we'll be
beer.
playing-
Yeah.
we'll be opening for Real Scarlet, which is
June
Oh, yeah.
13th.
It'll be sweet. Yeah, the Boss Switch opened for them at the Wax like I don't know how
6
long
years
when
ago?
was that.
6
So
years ago?
yeah,
6, 7.
so yeah,
Little
that
deja vu.
yeah, that'll be really cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Theoretically
Yeah, thank
Nameless
you.
Band.
Thank you so much for having
coming
us.
on.
Thanks, guys.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Bye.
Okay.
Goodbye.